What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PixelPlay Sidequest, your bonus content here on YouTube. My name is Adam, aka CS Radical, joined as always my good friend Mr. Jin and Chris, aka Just Chris.
Just Chris?
Yes, your real name now
Just
is
me.
Jin and Chris, and you go by Just Chris on Twitch. So that's just the rule now.
Sweet. I'm just Chris.
There's got to be somebody on Twitch that's just Chris. So
There has to be.
there
I
has
do
to be.
agree
It's
that
long
has
enough
to
that
be.
it has to be a thing. You know what else was a thing? The PlayStation 1. Yeah, that's right. I put a number in front of it, even though that never existed, because back then, in the grand age of the 1990s, we didn't think of putting numbers after a console yet.
And Xbox has only ever thought of that once, and it was in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Xbox One.
So, Chris,
Hello.
we're JRPG guys.
Yeah, this was the hardest list I've ever made in my life.
So
this is
knowing
like,
that,
oh.
we're going to play a game.
Uh-oh.
So instead of us saying our runs, we're going to see if we can guess each other's three.
Okay.
So we're going to each guess one. If it is correct, we will continue. You will do your spiel, and then we'll move on to the next person. If you get it wrong, it's your first strike, and we see if somebody actually gets to three. If one of us gets to 3 strikes, I'll be shocked.
Yeah.
That being said, there's always the opportunity that that's not possible.
Oh, this is tough. I'm so vocal about mine, and you're not as vocal.
Yeah, but I'm still pretty obvious with a few.
Yeah, true.
But I mean, I guess I'll take the easy shot across the bow. Okay, so Xenogears, go.
Yeah, it's item 1. It's item number 1. Oh God. Okay. Well, if anybody's listening to this podcast before,
wasn't that
you've heard
hard?
me say that I need Xenogears. I need it. I need I don't even necessarily need a remake, but I will throw it into any list where it's like, hey, this game has to come back. Yeah, like it's just such a fantastic game. It's kind of like the 2D 3D before 2D 3D was like a popular thing, like the 2.5D or whatever Square is calling it now with their newer games. Because it was a 3D world, but all the main characters were pixel art. And it was cool when you went into your like mechs and stuff and the fights were big, like you're seeing on the screen now. Then it was all 3D visuals, right? But then as soon as it went back to the actual characters, right back to that like 2D character living in a 3D world. And it was just so beautiful. And obviously people love it because Square has stuck with it and come back to it ever since. Basically, I think Octopath Traveler was technically the first one. And obviously people have been just like, yes, this is amazing. Let's do this. Let's do this. And now Square has Octopath 1 and 2. They've got Tactics Ogre Reborn or whatever that one was that did it. Triangle Strategy, Dragon Quest 3, Dragon Quest 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's definitely showing the argument that like it doesn't have to be a Final Fantasy VII level remake. You can just do a pixel upgrade, especially for the older games. Xenogears might be a little bit different in that sense, but like the idea that you don't have to go to what Square loves to do with a lot of stuff, which is the big budget, maximum over the top, overclock graphics fucking route, and just go, okay. It was Xenogears, like honestly, like I think with a lot of these games too with the PlayStation, I don't think they need to be so over the top level upgrades. You can just look, clean it, like even if it looks like a PS3 game, I think we're all pretty happy with that at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
We more or less wanted to run at 60 frames, get rid of all those pesky loading times that would have come back then, some quality of life adjustments, and that's for the most part what we really want, and maybe voice acting for a lot of these games too. I think that would be a big help too.
Oh yeah, that would be really cool.
But like outside of that, I don't think everybody's clamoring saying, "Oh, I need Final Fantasy VII Remake level stuff." There are always people that do because they want to see the prettiest thing possible. But like, I think most of us are just like, dude, we just want to play it again.
Yeah, I just want to. First of all, you can't play this game anywhere, and it's like this is honestly to me one of Square's best games. I would say this is, in my opinion, their second best JRPG that falls outside of Final Fantasies. Obviously, so I'm sure there's a huge argument there. Chrono Trigger being number one for sure. But like just the story in this, it's probably one of Square's most mature stories that touches on things like our inner id and stuff like that, like Sigmund Freud, like it's not Sigmund and Freud, Freudian thought, like all that kind of stuff, like psychology and just loss and like reincarnation, religion, there's so much that it ties into, and it's so amazing, like the way they brought it all together. Like as you play through it, you care who the characters are, you want to know what's happening next. You're like, you're giving, like they give you the little hints right from the very beginning of the game of things that are tragic or big story moments, but it takes you 50 hours to fully unravel it and stuff, right? The anime artwork, beautiful. The character designs, even when pixel art, beautiful. The music, I still listen to the soundtrack to this day. It's one of my favorites ever.
Gathering
Like, it's
Stars in the Night
just,
Sky is such a beautiful song.
yes, there's so many great ones here, and even just fun ones. But yeah, and I think that this game truly would benefit from a remake or remaster, not in the sense of graphics, like we were saying. It doesn't need to be a huge upgrade, just enough of an upgrade that obviously now it's a full screen image and brought up like at least the textures are 4K and stuff like that, so they don't look bad now, the 3D textures. But the reason I think this one benefit the most is for anyone who's played this, Disc 2 was rushed. There's a whole story behind it where basically Square was not allowing the funding to go into it. It was a new IP. Final Fantasy was selling gangbusters and stuff like that, and they were kind of just not as pleased or willing to put the finances into something that was brand new. So they ended up having to rush through disc 2, and it was either this gets, I think it was like this gets canceled or this gets released by this certain date. So that's why disc 2, all of a sudden there's no world map, there's no anything. It's a character sitting in a chair telling the story. You do like the dungeon, and then it goes back to another character sitting in a chair telling the rest of the story. Disc 2 kind of like, it doesn't suck, but it like obviously you can tell it was like they ran out of time or budget / both. I think if they remade this, they could actually take what was going to be in disc 2 and fully put it out there instead of it just being an interview with a character with a black screen behind them in a chair, like finishing off the rest of the story, like basically more of disc 1 and finishing it off properly. But other than that, like, you know, you could keep the music the way it is. You could probably do an orchestrated version like they did with Super Mario RPG.
They'll probably do the same thing they
remake.
always do, where you have like the original or
Yeah,
the
both.
new.
Yeah, and you can switch between them. You know, and I'm sure they could do other little things like having sped up battles and all that kind of stuff. Like so many little things they could do to adjust it, but really is they could finish disc 2 and just make it so this game is playable again. Because again, if there's anybody listening to this that is a JRPG fan, this is like, in my opinion, possibly the second best JRPG ever. Now, a lot of people know Chrono Trigger. Pretty much everybody knows that one. Not as many people know Xenogears. Truly give it a chance. If you can figure out a way to play it, you owe it to yourself as a JRPG fan, because honestly, it is, in my opinion, a work of art. It is fantastic.
So, okay. Yeah. Well, my number one should be pretty easy for you to grab too. I think it's after that where it can get a little bit fuzzy.
So your number one is tough. So I'm going to go with one I think you're going to say as a JRPG fan. I'm going to put these two together because, like, honestly, I don't know which one you'd pick, but I'm going to throw Breath of Fire 3 and 4 out there, assuming maybe one of them is what you picked.
Yeah, I mean, it's on my list. It's actually not my number one, but, you know, good, close enough.
Yeah.
Breath of Fire, like I specifically put Breath of Fire 4, by the way.
Okay.
So Breath of Fire 4 is another case similar to some of the other games that we've listed through different ones of these videos where I haven't played it, so I really want to. And, you know, we've talked several times on this show how much we love Breath of Fire in general. So I would love nothing more than to have the opportunity of going around and getting the chance to actually do that again. And there's so much with Breath of Fire 4 that, like, the art style that I see in this is actually, like, really what I wanted to see out of these games. And just, we haven't gotten that. Just kind of frustrating. It feels like one of those games that, like, man, like, that style just really hasn't come back since. And I really wish there was more of it, and we just don't seem to get it. Which is kind of irritating, given that so many games now try to kind of emulate the same action style game, whereas this is, I don't know, like, it gives me kind of vibes to, I guess, sort of in a way Suikoden a little bit, but like there's still, I don't really know how to explain it, but it's just the art style to that, similar to like how Xenogears looks. Oddly, for a PlayStation game, like, it actually hasn't aged too terribly. Breath of Fire 4 is similar to that to me, where like if you clean this up just a little bit, you could tell me this was an indie JRPG and I wouldn't bat an eyelash at it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's actually like beautiful, honestly. I think that the artwork and just the way it all looks, like I'd play this today. Like that does not look aged enough where I'd look at it and be like, "Oh, this is I can't even tell what's going on here."
Yeah, like realistically, like you're more just up-resing it just because this is probably, obviously still in 480p. But
Yeah.
you do a little bit of cleaning up to it. I think even as is, you can make it work. But obviously, I want the full remake thing, so I want this bitch to look like a fucking actual anime at this point. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so
Oh yeah.
similar to various other games that we've talked about, like I more or less just need this so that I can complete. I mean, I want, I guess, both 3 and 4 because I haven't played either of them. But like, I want both of these done, but specifically 4 just because this is the one that's grabbed my attention the most just from watching little bits here and there of it. Because even looking at what's on screen right now, just the animation of the enemies is just oddly beautiful for something of, the original PlayStation era.
Absolutely. And you can feel like that Capcom-ness in it too, right? Like you can tell even just with the animation stuff, like you showed me this and it was like, oh, who made this? It's like this is absolutely a Capcom game. Like it's obviously more of a fantasy setting, but it still has that charm that like a Mega Man X and stuff has with its animations being so fluid and stuff.
Yeah, so that's my number 3. So you didn't quite hit the number 1 or number 2 there, but you still got what I would have thought would have been the harder one to grab. So we'll take that as that. So okay, I got a couple directions I can go in with you. I'm gonna lean towards Final Fantasy Tactics.
That's my number 2.
All right, we're doing
You're
good so
at this.
far.
You are good at this. Yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics. And it's like kind of the same reason as Xenogears in the sense that the game is fantastic. Again, if Final Fantasy wise, it's kind of one of the more mature stories there. It had a fantastic battle system that was actually different. Like, obviously, it wasn't the first time that even Square had done a game like this, like Tactics Ogre and stuff existed well before. But like it was the first time that a lot of mainstream people, I think, got into the tactical RPG because, again, Final Fantasy had the name slapped onto it. I think that's the only reason I found it, but was extremely pleasant surprise because it's like you're playing a Final Fantasy turn-based game, but now you're including the moves, which is very Dungeons and Dragons like. Also, kind of a game of chess where you get to move a character and then get it to do an action, which again is very much how Dungeons and Dragons will work, right? You get to build your own party. Like you have your main characters, but you get to actually build out who characters are, recruit them, name them, and then build them up based on whatever job they are. You've got the beautiful visuals. You've got the beautiful music, obviously, as JRPGs on PS1
And it
pretty
wouldn't
much
be that
all
hard.
have.
Like we wouldn't be asking for something crazy. We'd be saying literally just do the 2.5D for this.
Literally.
It's literally designed for it.
Yeah, and Square's done it twice now, and one of them was in fact a remake with Tactics Ogre Reborn or whichever one is that I grabbed on Steam. Yeah, like that is a Super Nintendo game that they already had remade or remastered once onto like PlayStation Portable or something like that. So it was like PS1 style graphics, and then they brought it up to the full 2.5D engine. So they've already got an engine that's literally a tactics RPG. All they would need to do is make it about this game, and they've already got all the tools, and it looked fantastic. It looked like a PS1 game running on modern TVs with modern settings kind of idea. They could easily do this, and I think it would sell so well. And another reason, again, I really want this is because I think there'd be a couple quality of life improvements that would be great. Some of the battles, like if you died, you were stuck with your most recent save. And sometimes there was this one very famous battle where I know I got stuck there and I had to start the game all over because there was a lot of people. The difficulty spike at that one boss battle was so high that you had to grind where before you didn't. It was like the first moment you needed to grind, but unfortunately, if you'd saved right before the fight, you had no way to go back. So you'd need like multiple saves and stuff to even just survive finishing this game, which I eventually did. I learned from my mistake, but unfortunately it took
it's not a
an
mistake
extra
that
50.
should be made at that point.
Yeah, no, like 10, 15 hours in. Like it's not like this was 20 minutes in and you got to restart, right? So I think like just having like multiple saves, like auto saves or stuff like that, being able to go back if you're like stuck and actually grind, maybe even just select grind from the main menu so you can just go and do battles and get leveled up if you are stuck instead of having to restart. Lots of cool stuff like that, right? And again, probably the biggest reason I want this remade is because besides mobile, there's nowhere else I can just like legally get this game. It is not on a modern console. Excuse me. It is not on PC. It is not anywhere. You were able to get it as a PS1 classic title. So I think the last console you could legally get this on was the PlayStation Vita. And yeah, I think it's on iOS or something or Android. Like I think it's on mobile.
It's on something that it's not important.
No, like yeah, this isn't where I don't want to play this as a mobile game. I'm happy it's there if it was on everything else, but the fact
Like,
it's on
Square,
mobile but not
this
everywhere else,
is
like
a
what?
perfect Switch 2 thing.
Yeah, put this on exactly because even Octopath Traveler and stuff like it was born on the Switch. Like that was the first place Octopath Traveler 1 was launched and it sold like insane amounts because it was perfect for like that handheld gaming on the go feel. And I think that's why this game, where it was remastered or whatever, onto the PlayStation Portable back in the day, that's why, like, again, this type of game is great for like those 45-minute gaming sessions you'd play while on an airplane or something on a portable device. So they could bring it back. And again, you put it on the PlayStation, you can play it on the PlayStation Portable. Portal. If you get it on Xbox, xCloud is literally everywhere. You get it on Switch 2, that's literally a handheld. You get it on PC, there's all the different PC handhelds. Like there's so many different ways to make this be playable handheld while also on the home console all in one go. And yeah, like I just again, I need to be able to play this game and I would buy it day one. Especially that 2.5D if they just brought it out.
Now, gun to your head, on a scale of 1 to 10, if they said they were going to release a new tactics completely devoid from everything else, would you be okay with that compared to a remake on a scale of 1 to 10?
Sorry, repeat the question?
So on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of like 1 being I'm pissed and 10 being fuck yeah, they're releasing a completely brand new tactics game with nothing to do with any of the prior games. Because this is kind of taking like your nostalgia into thing, because you also don't know if they're just going to completely revamp it and make it something completely different.
That's my issue. That's the thing. If they released, it's like not necessarily a sequel, but it's like an homage to the old one in the sense that they still keep the basics of the gameplay and how it actually works and all that kind of stuff. And even the feel, like it's still a medieval setting and you can get black mages, white mages, red mages, whatever the heck is, all the different characters you can get. I'd be fine. I'd still be upset because I really want to play through the original story again because it's been so long. But at least I would be fine if it was a brand new tactics game. I wanted, when the Game Boy Advance ones came out, Tactics Advance, that was completely new. It felt very different, much more like Final Fantasy 12 inspired versus like the original Tactics. But I still very much enjoyed playing through those games as much as I did. I never finished them, but I wasn't a huge Game Boy Advance guy as much. So I'd still be quite happy with a new one. I think still releasing the original would be a good idea because nostalgia does sell and Square does like money. And I think this would help them a lot with getting some of that, maybe even to fund the new one or build hype for the new one. But I would definitely pick up a new one too, a new Final Fantasy Tactics for sure.
I'm of the hot take that I would actually rather have a Tactics Advance remake before anything else, but that's just me.
Oh, I'd pick that up too. I'm not going to lie. I'd pick that up in a heartbeat too.
Also, just because it's much more childlike version. Like it's a very more approachable one.
Oh yeah, that is very much more approachable for a much more diverse audience, which I am assuming that was a perfect fit for Game Boy Advance, right? Because you got people of all ages. PS1 was like, I guess, slightly more like teen adult kind of thing. But yeah, I'd pick up any Final Fantasy Tactics, to be honest. Release them all and make a new one. That's what I want. There you go.
So for my second one, so I'll give you a little bit of a rope here, just because I think you're overthinking it a little bit. This game
I think
has been released. It's just not a remake.
Yeah. So no, I'm torn. This entire time since I mentioned my first one, I was like, all right, what would it be? I'm torn between two, which both have been released. But I think the first one I'm going to go with, which is probably the more likely, is Chrono Cross.
Yes, that is the number one.
Okay. There we go.
We've talked about this many, many times. We're both waiting for a Chrono game. You're just waiting for a different one than me.
I'm waiting. I want Chrono 3. I want Chrono 1 and Chrono Cross. I want them all.
Just 1, 2, and yes.
1, 2, and yes. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like, I finally beat Chrono Trigger, like, in the last couple of years for the first time. It just was a game that I didn't own growing up, never rented it growing up, and just for whatever reason, playing it on emulators, just I never finished it. And I finally sat down and did it, and I go, oh, okay, yeah, I understand why people like this game so much. But Chrono Cross for me was like, that's the one that I was obsessed with. It's one of the very, once we got into the 3D land, this is the first one I was completely obsessed with. And, you know, I remember as a horny-ass fucking teenager wishing that Kid would kick my ass so hard that I would kiss her moons. But, you know, aside from that, the game itself, like, it's such a beautiful, vibrant game. Just even the immediate area that you start on with Arnie Village and I can't remember I think it's like the Dragon Coral area. I can't remember what it's called. But like the first place you go to where you have to get some dragon scales, and it's fucking gorgeous. It's like how, you know, they take the difference between Final Fantasy VII and Chrono Cross is the same between Skyrim and Avowed, and just how insanely colorful it is. And on top of that, and I've said this a billion times whenever I talk about this game, I will hot take this to the grave that this is the greatest soundtrack in all of gaming, and I do not care what anybody else's opinions are, because there is no soundtrack that I can listen to and feel more relaxed than anything in the world. Coffee Talk comes close.
That's true.
But Chrono Cross.
That's true.
And as a guitarist too, can you tell with the acoustic and the classical guitar in behind me there that there's a pretty good chance that I've spent a lot of time on GameTabs.net looking through every single track that's available in that site and just trying to play them all and failing miserably at most of them because fingerstyle guitar is fucking hard.
I'd say I know, but I don't. I own a guitar and I just look at it and I go, "Hey, bud."
I'm pretty sure I've put more time into that guitar in like the 7 visits I've had at your house than you have the entire time.
You have tuned it more times than I have because you've done it more than 0.
But yeah, it's just like we've said with Chrono Trigger. For fuck's sake, Square, you know that everyone wants this. Whether it's a remake or a complete sequel, don't care at this point. From a scale of 1 to 10, it is a fucking release one, you sons of bitches. I don't know what number that is. I assume it's a 17.
Yeah, that's pretty up there. I'm very surprised by this, because they had the HD HD re-release.
Radical Dreamers thing that they did, it was just a complete botch. Like the Legend of Dragoon one, just that year was bad for PlayStation 1 JRPG re-releases.
Yeah, like I had picked it up on my Switch because at the time I didn't have a Steam Deck, which is where I would have definitely bought it. But I grabbed it on my Switch and I remember playing it and like the same slowdowns you had on the PS1 because of its system limitations, which not throwing that any shade on that because that made sense back then.
But we are now in the year of our Lord 2024. This shouldn't have been that hard.
Yeah, because I was like, wait a minute. Oh, the disc must be loading. Wait a minute, there's no disc in this. This is literally a digital file.
Square was like, we wanted you gamers to relive everything to its specifications.
Yeah, and Square, I will give Square credit that they fixed it later, but the sons of bitches waited until I finished the game, and then 1 week after I finished
Square,
it.
but like your job was to simply make a PlayStation 1 game function on modern computers. An emulator does that in about 5 seconds.
Yeah, they just needed to use one of the emulators. I'd say the names, but I don't want to get in trouble. But like, yeah, that's all they got. That's all they had to do. They just had to do it. And it was like running so poor, like not poorly, just the same slowdowns that you experienced on the PS1. They just somehow brought them over. And it's like, I thought this was because it was reading the disc. This is just a digital file. Again, they fixed it, but holy crap, did they wait. But I fully agree with you. Like a remake of this game with like the same music, but just like some more colorful and like actual, I don't want to
Yeah,
throw
like
shade at the game in the
I
sense.
want the 3D realized version of Chrono Cross, and then the Akira Toriyama
Yes.
anime like Dragon Quest realized, version of Chrono
Character.
Trigger. And when
Oh
I say
yes.
anime,
Oh,
I mean anime, not what even Dragon Quest is today, where it's sort of like a mix between 3D. No.
yeah.
I want full on anime like what Sandland is.
Yeah, because that's exactly the art style. Obviously, he did the art style for the game.
I
But
mean,
yeah, with
shit. Like
Chrono,
people look at the final boss of Lavos and kind of go, "That's like Saiyan armor, kind of." Or no, that's like
yeah.
Cell almost. Like that's like
Oh, it's quite big cell bug guy.
yeah.
I don't know what to call it. Yeah. Yeah, with Chrono Cross, I think that it would do so well with the remake because it's one of the games that at the time Final Fantasy VIII was like this. I think scenes in Final Fantasy VII as well, where it was like a pre-rendered background. It was just like a JPEG with 3D assets put on top of it, including the characters. With Chrono Cross, especially when I was playing that HD release, whatever, on my Switch OLED, the OLED was making it very obvious what was an actual 3D object that you could interact with or you could control, and what was a now slightly blurry, stretched background image. They did their best to like AI upscale it or whatever the heck they did. Looked decent. I will give them that. But if you were to take those backgrounds and those objects that were just like those JPEG images and actually make them 3D objects, holy hell, the things they could do with that game and the colors and the just the world, the art style, everything. They could go so hard and make it so beautiful. It'd be so
My
insane. And
audiophile
I'd be
ears
there.
with these $800 headphones are just salivating at the idea of a 2025 re-release soundtrack of Chrono Cross and just
Oh, yeah.
all of those guitar tracks.
Fun
Now,
fact,
knowing
with-
Square, they would fuck it up and go with like way more instruments now, to which I go, no, that's not
No,
the
you
vibe.
gotta no. Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta keep with the vibe. Fun
Because that's what
fact
made it so
about-
good, is a lot of those songs are literally just guitar.
Mhm.
And then maybe like I'm thinking out loud with I think Goldove, like there's the main track there is guitar and then you have a little bit of flute or piccolo or something.
Yeah.
Or no, it wouldn't be
Yeah.
no, not piccolo, it'd be like a oboe or like clarinet, but something like that.
Oh yeah. It might be. Yeah.
But that's
I'm
like
agree
all
with
it
you.
is. Like Arnie Village is literally guitar and flute.
Yeah. Fun fact about the music from Chrono Cross. So I'm old enough, obviously, to have bought the game and where I pre-ordered it at GameStop or EB Games as it was here, which back then was a great idea because games actually released very well. If it was a Square Enix JRPG,
Shocking.
you could pre-order, and I had to pre-order because there was a line to literally pick it up the day of. Well, when you pre-ordered, you got a free soundtrack CD of the game, which included 5 songs. I still have the CD. And I used to listen to that thing all the time. And it was also my grass cutting CD. Because back then when I would cut the grass, I was a teenager. It was my chore. I had a little CD player and I would listen to Chrono Cross while I cut the grass. Every single Saturday. And that music made cutting the grass. I still actually love cutting the grass. It's so like zen and just like calming for me, where a lot of people are like, oh, I hate this thing. Because of Chrono Cross, cutting the grass has become one of the most chill things that I can do. And I still will throw on Chrono Cross on Spotify, though. I don't get the CD out. I don't have a CD player anymore, but still got it. Still got that Chrono Cross CD.
All right, so we're both on our last one, which means we can only guess the last answer. So we're gonna do a little bit of extra, see if we can actually figure it out. So if we guess wrong, we'll try to get hints out of the other person to see if we can get it. But let's see if I can go 3 for 3. So I'm torn between 2. This was the one I was unsure about. Xenogears and Tactics for the free space, but I'm like, crap, can I figure out the third one?
Yep.
Vagrant Story.
No.
Damn. Okay. Is it a
That's a good guess.
JRPG?
Yes.
Shit. Okay, well that takes Dino Crisis out.
Actually, fun fact, I never played Dino Crisis. I feel like I've failed as a gamer. That would also be, I guess, shout out to that one. That'd be a great remake. I'd actually finally play Dino Crisis.
we have several friends that would lose their shit if it ever happened.
Lose their shit. Lose their absolute shit.
Okay, is it a Square JRPG?
Yes.
Is it a Final Fantasy?
Yes.
Oh, really? That's actually surprising. Okay,
I have
so
two, but this is the one that was my number 3 on the list.
well, is it
Not the
9
most Final
because we
Fantasy.
already know it's kind of a thing?
That's why I have it. It is
Okay.
9.
Okay.
It's because it's like I think this is a thing, and I figured if I threw it into this
I
episode,
guess
it
it
would
makes sense because
definitely
it's not
become a thing.
technically official.
No, there is no official at all. We haven't seen anything. So this is more like my square. If you're going to ignore me for Xenogears and Final Fantasy Tactics, at least let this one be real, because while the Final Fantasy VII remake is fantastic, Rebirth has a couple things I wasn't as big a fan of, but still I think it's a great game. Remake, the first one to me was flawless, fantastic, loved it. Um, the graphics and the vibe of Final Fantasy VII is still very like kind of dark, and it's like, they're sucking the energy out of the world, and it's corporate bullshit, and like it's not an overly happy game until Tifa shows up, I guess. But this game is it's the medieval setting again. Vivi is adorable.
Dude,
There's
like the
black
first thing you
mages.
do essentially is put on a play.
Put on a play. It's like, the level of intensity sometimes of like Final Fantasy 7 or 8,
Oh,
but it was
when it gets
dialed
dark,
back.
it gets dark.
Yeah, like it still gets dark, but it knows how to pull it back and keep it a little whimsical. Like even the airships in this look like old school Final Fantasy airships where it's literally like a wooden boat with like an air balloon holding the thing up. Whereas, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8 especially, the high wind is cool, like it was fine. The whatever the spaceship is from Final Fantasy 8, like what the fuck is that? Like I don't care. Why do I have a spaceship? I wanted that old school, like, this is a wooden boat that shouldn't be flying, and somehow it is kind of idea, right? Final Fantasy IX is just like it's my third favorite Final Fantasy, next to 4 and 6, which is saying a lot because 4 and 6 are obviously perfect JRPGs in their own right. But yeah, the characters they're like it gets dark, but they keep it like lighthearted at times, and they're funny. They're like cool, like they're very uniquely designed. Like Zidane, the kid with the tail. Vivi, obviously the little like black mage, which is adorable. Steiner, who at first I didn't like him when I played the game. Then he kind of grew on me, where he's kind of like the only one that seems to actually be in reality that's like, what the fuck are we doing? This is a horrible idea. You are
It's like,
not
can we
doing this.
just go back to things being
Yeah.
normal for God's sake?
You want to allow the princess to be kidnapped? No, I am paid so that she's not done that. Like, why would I follow this plan? Like all this stuff, right? And then Steiner actually kind of having like a friendship with Vivi and like wanted to kind of protect him at times and stuff. Like, just such cool characters. The world very cool with the different like kingdoms and stuff like that. The
I also hope
summons
that
with your like
assuming that this
eidolons.
remake does happen, that with voice acting and with, obviously like what they've improved with the 7 remake and how I like a lot more characters, that they can really
Mhm.
make me like a lot of this party. Because I'm not going to lie to you, once you get outside of the main 4, I don't really care for anybody.
Yeah, they were kind of just there, like quinoa or whatever that thing's
Like
name
Quina,
was.
Aiko, Freya, and why am I blanking on? Is it Amaranth?
Amaranth. Yeah, I
Amaranth,
don't
I
even know.
think.
Yeah, like he's just like there.
Like it's
Like I feel like he
basically the
has
core
very
4
little
and
depth.
Kuja. Like let's be honest, like that's kind of
Yeah,
9. I guess like
yeah,
Beatrix if you're horny posting, but
yep,
really
100%, 100%. And I think like especially Freya, right? They could really add to Freya's story. Freya knew Zidane, I think, and they kind of went a bit back and stuff. It's the very cool Kain character, like from Final Fantasy IV. Flesh out her story more. There was a bit like there you meet her and you see like her friends and family that were in like that one fortress or whatever have kind of died or whatever. Um, they could flesh out even more than that, like you're saying they did with Final Fantasy VII, and I really, really would love that they do. Yeah, they could do so much with this game, and I'm just picturing like Final Fantasy VII remake quality of like 3D textures, character animations, art direction, setting, all of that, but like in the petrified forest from Final Fantasy IX,
mm,
Alexandria, like the different takes on like this medieval, like whimsical, magical looking world, but that brought to life in a very 3D setting. And I think Holy crap, it would be beautiful. Like I think they could do a lot with this. And also again, like a Final Fantasy with this music, the world map song from this game, one of my favorites of all time. I never skip it when it shows up on my playlist, and I'll just let it play out.
Oh man,
100%.
I will be stoked to see a new version of Vama a la Flamenco. Oh,
Oh God, yes. Yeah, like this game had again those fun
they
mini
they
games
better
that
cheese
were
the
really
fuck
great.
out of that too. I want to hear castanets for days in that song.
Yeah, but I know this one is possibly coming. It's been rumored for years, but like
It's been
I don't
rumored
know,
for
it's
about as long
Square.
as the game's been out.
Yeah, I think so.
Feels that
so yeah,
way.
it does worry me a bit, and that's why I'm like, no, this game needs to be remade. I want it, even if it's already maybe happening. I want to solidify it by throwing it in this podcast. It needs to happen.
For sure. Mine's probably going to be the hardest one to grab, but you know, we'll see because I have talked about this game before, but it's a little more off the board, I guess, in a sense. We'll see what
Okay,
you can
so I
come
was
up with.
thinking, because I was thinking Legend of Dragoon, but now I'm thinking
No.
that is definitely not it. Crap.
So yeah, you can ask me whatever hints you need.
Is it a JRPG?
Technically, yes, but gameplay wise, no.
Is it
Like it has
Valkyrie
JRPG
profile?
elements, but it's not like a turn-based combat.
There was that like Valkyrie profile or Val
No.
I can't remember. No. And not Vagrant Story, because you brought that one up
No.
too.
I'll say
assuming
it's
you wouldn't
not
have brought
a
that up as
Square game.
Oh fuck. JRPG elements, but it's not actually that gameplay. Gosh. This one I don't know if
Because like
I'm
there are like
maybe
side
like
quests and dungeons, there are like leveling systems, but the combat is more action based.
God. God, if this wasn't PS1, I'd say Dark Cloud, because I know that's something you'd pick.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna get this one.
I'll give you a little bit more. It's a Capcom game. It's a major Capcom property.
Oh, Mega Man Legends.
Yep.
Yes. Why did I not think of that? You
Mega
have
Man
talked about
Legends
this a
1
lot.
and 2 because you can't have one without the other because they are
Oh, no.
literally intertwined.
Yeah.
The fact that this has been a rumored either remake or sequel so many fucking times pisses me off to no end because it proves that Capcom knows that people want this. And it also pisses me off because, like, look, I don't mind, like, traditional Mega Man games. But, like, if Mega Man games forever in the future were like this instead, I would not be upset. Because I think this is honestly the best way to play Mega Man games. They're the most approachable. They're the most fun. They have actual really good stories to tell. It really does everything that I wanted of it. I remember, like, because I remember trying to play the old school Mega Man games and hating it because I'm, like, they're hard. They're fucking hard.
They are hard.
And as a kid, you're also double stupid. So you don't know what the hell to use. For the longest time, I wasn't even using power-ups. I'm just like, yeah, I should just bust my way through, and realizing that's a really stupid idea. But when I played this randomly, I think what would have been Mega Man 64. I would have put it on that list, but I'm like, no. I know this for being a PlayStation game really in the end because I played them both on PlayStation later in life. I cannot think of Mega Man games that I had more fun with, that I remember more fondly, and honestly is prime for a remake now. Like, I don't think Mega Man games, like, traditionally, the like old school NES ones or the X ones, I don't think those really need to be redone because they kind of have aged decently anyway.
Oh, yeah.
These, on the other hand, because of the art style being more like early 3D, the camera could use a lot of work, the lock-on systems, just the overall traversal being very sluggish with the way that it's a very, like, camera-based movement system, so, like, there's not a real proper way of moving around in the best light. You could do so much with this, and by just giving it like similar to what I want with Chrono Trigger to be a very more anime style, like, you literally just freshen this up and make it like even more of an anime than it already is, and you have this covered. And you don't even really need to change voice acting that, like, unless you really want to, because it already has it.
Yeah,
oddly enough, this
does.
is one of those few games that has voice acting, and it has actually relatively well done cutscenes and I'm not talking like it's anime or anything, like it's still in the in-game engine, but it actually was relatively good for its time.
Yeah, it
Like,
was.
I will say I'm
That's a good pick.
genuinely surprised like how well that's evolved, because in all honesty, like for a game that was released on that console, like you look at it now, it's not that bad.
No,
Like it's
no.
obviously a little bit, like what's the word? Like rough, because obviously it's very early pixels. But like if you just clean this bit up, this is good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like just I could see how they could take this, literally just up it to the point where it looks like anime graphics, and it would just work. Like it would just fit. Like clean
Like
up
it
more
even
of the
has, like, you can see with
background.
Trombone right now, like it even has like the facial expression changes. It actually has like life to it.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Oh
still
yeah.
shocked. Like I'm looking at this right now and I'm like, holy fuck, yeah, I'm amazed like how well this was put together. And
Yeah,
again,
I
this
do
was
remember
also
this
like this
blowing my
on
mind.
N64 too.
Yeah. I do remember this blowing my mind when I played it. Like I do agree more like the dungeons, the camera, the assets
Yeah,
around
it's
the
it's really the
characters.
gameplay that needs the remake treatment.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah, they can
man.
add yeah.
And I mean, come
Yeah,
on,
it's
people need
crazy.
to understand why Tron is a character in the Marvel vs. Capcom games. For fuck's sake.
Yeah, that is true. That is true because she's just there.
Yeah, I
Oh,
I
that's a
would
good pick.
look. We talk about how bullshit it is that games are priced at $100. I would legitimately pay $100 for a remake of this, assuming that the reviews were good and saying it wasn't a pile of glitchy shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You package both games together, they make it good. Oh, and Capcom has made
If they're
really good
if
remakes.
they're released together, even if it was one, but if they're released together in remake value, $100, and the reviews come out and saying it runs like a dream, you ain't seeing my ass for about 2 weeks
Oh
at
yeah.
least.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This game was fun. So, oh god, I want to go back and play it now.
It'd be great too if you could, if it wasn't only on that console.
Yeah, it's another one that we brought up that's just like locked with the old consoles, and there's no way of legally playing them easily at
And the
all.
fact that we've been
Unless,
teased several times that either a new one's
yeah,
coming or a remake's coming and it just never materializes. It's like, man, look,
oh yeah,
Capcom, I know you love ruining Mega Man every single time you make a game for it, but like, can you at least like one time do something good with it?
yeah, yeah. Because the Mega Man Legends 3, that was just talked about
It was like a
forever.
thing and
So
then an April Fool's joke and then a thing again and then another April Fool's joke. Like, it's fucking bizarre.
yeah,
And like on top of that, here's my other hot take with Mega Man. Every offshoot Mega Man game has been better than the main series. Mega Man Soccer is low-key super fun.
oh yeah,
Mega
that
Man
one's
X
so good.
Command Mission on PS2, low-key is actually a really good turn-based JRPG.
I never actually played that one. I
And then
should.
obviously Mega Man Legends. Like there's probably others that I'm just playing.
Yeah.
Oh, Mega Man Battle Network, also really good.
Oh yeah, Battle Network, really good. Even
But
Mega
like
Man X was a
the the
spin-off,
the
and it
number
was
the
really good.
numbered Mega Man series, I don't think are nearly as good as like all the offshoots.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, such good games. Fuck, we need new good Mega Man games.
This is
Or
probably
these
the most
spin-offs.
depressed I'll be during one of these videos because this is the one that's personal.
This is the one that's personal. This is what I want. Now you
Because
know what
like
it's like.
it's three different sets of series that are being fucked with or ignored. Chrono being the biggest one. Breath of Fire is up there too, but Capcom understandably also has a lot of really good things that they're busy with. Like it's like, all right, fine, you got Resident Evil and Monster Hunter and fucking other shit, fine.
Yeah, but they're done remaking Resident Evil-ish.
I'm
Like,
not even talking
they'll
about the
do
remake thing. I'm
fifth
like,
one.
look, they just have their eyes elsewhere. Fine, I understand you don't care about JRPGs anymore. Square, you don't have an excuse. But Capcom,
Yeah,
Mega
Square has
Man,
no.
Mega Man. Come on, guys. It's
Yeah.
fucking Mega Man. You did a goddamn thing on secret level with Amazon, for God's sakes.
Yeah, that's a good episode, by the way. Holy crap. Ooh.
I mean, the Pac-Man one was better, but hey,
Pac-Man one was crazy.
it was
It's
fucking
not what I was
crazy.
expecting.
Hey, we made it past the N64 in this stage, so that means Pac-Man World isn't on the list, unfortunately. That's a damn
Oh
shame.
no.
No. But yeah, well, enough about our depression. That's going to do it for this video. So, yeah, you know the drill. Like and subscribe. There's the link tree at the bottom of the screen, link to the Discord, all that jazz. Wednesdays at noon, main show. Fridays here at noon for the Sidequest. We will keep going on this. We are finally done this console generation, so we'll move on to the Game Boy Advance to finish the portable side of that. And then, Chris, we're going to be on to our last run. We're going to be on to the... Well, no, I guess if we really, really wanted to stretch it, we could do the PS3 era, but like,
I mean, it's
But realistically, like we're on the last like really could use the remake treatment era.
really needs him. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know which one we'll start with. I haven't really thought that far ahead. Oh wait. Yeah, I haven't thought that far ahead. I probably would lean Xbox, but I don't know. It'll probably be that or GameCube. That'd be my guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, this is gonna be fun.
But we shall
Stay tuned,
see.
everyone.
Well, I guess we also got Dreamcast as well. You know what? That'll probably be where we actually go. But that's at least 2 side quests from now, and assuming we don't come up with any other ideas, because something like Blueprints comes around and completely throws that out.
Oh yeah.
Which, by the way, thanks for reviewing that, because we got a lot more views than expected on that too. So cheers.
Yeah. Cheers, everyone.
But yeah, folks, that's gonna do for this video. So thank you so much. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye for now.